So my name is Denzel, and I'm half of a production duo called Take A Daytrip. We're based in LA, but we're from New York City, and we went to it's really me and my friend from college who started a college project. Like our thesis project was a concept about like working on an EP. We were supposed to like work on an EP. That was like our thesis, and the EP was called Day Trip, and it was supposed to be like us going to like a different city every month, and then we and like making music in different cities, and we just actually just kept it going, and it's been 10 years, and we've produced a ton of songs for different people and had a lot of fun. Maybe like a month and a half ago, um, I saw someone post something about osci-render, or I think I saw like a visual, and I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy!" Because obviously I've known oscilloscopes, my whole life of being in studios, and I didn't know you could really like draw something on an oscilloscope. When I really thought about it, it made sense, and I started just looking into it, and I just found Jared Bean Fenderson, and I found you, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is a whole world!" I just got so excited. I just started playing with it, and yeah, it's been like like one of my most fun experiences making music in my whole life. Just working on osci-render and seeing everything that everyone else makes is just so inspiring.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so David and I, we maybe about a couple months ago started working on a side project called New Static. There's really just like a combination of everything that we really love about making music, and it's electronic based, and that's kind of how we connected when we were in college, just studying, Dead Mouse and people like that, and Justice and Daft Punk, and that really just became like a huge part of our inspiration that we always wanted to like weave into our music. But sometimes it's hard working with artists to do that. So, just like halfway through the year, we're like, you know what? We always wanted to do a project like this. Let's just do it. And yeah, so we've just been having the most fun, really. Like, when you work on something in a certain way, and you turn your hobby into like your career, there's like a level of work that comes into it, like doing things that you like to do, and there's like other things that are just like more intense work wise. But since working on this project, it feels like David and I are just like in middle school, and hanging out and being up late and making fun things. So this is really just like an extension of that. This oscilloscope project. I remember maybe about a month ago, we just went on Facebook Marketplace and picked up a an oscilloscope, and I just started playing with it, and we're like, you know what, like maybe let's do like the first drop that we do for New Static could be kind of like an ambient oscilloscope project. So literally, Snowflake was just I was just testing things on the plane flying back to LA, and was working on Snowflake and a bunch of like other ideas. And I just like posted it one night. I came in this room, and my homies Ryan and Mel were here, and I just posted it on Instagram like, oh, it's cool. It's like a cute little snowflake thing. Wake up, hundreds of thousands of notifications. I don't even use Instagram like that, but it just like started going crazy, and it's been fun like seeing all the feedback and people who really like it.
Yeah,
But
it
yeah, it's
was
been
sick
incredible.
seeing like all the remixes and like everything come out of it like immediately. It was yeah, I saw the same thing. I saw you post it, and then a day later it was like 25 million views. So yeah, it's kind of insane.
Yeah, it's definitely insane, but it's really dope to see people connect with it. I started this on the plane. I was flying back from like Thanksgiving back to LA. So I did this like starting on Aussie Render and Saucy just to visualize it. And for everyone who doesn't know, Saucy is like the most incredible plugin that James made, that like you can visualize essentially the entire output. Um, so certain things I'm doing on the actual plugin level. Someone said the audio is mono, but it's uh, yeah, visualizing the entire output, and some things I'm doing on the OSI render level, and some I'm processing that audio after that. So this ramp thing, I kind of did it by hand. So I just printed it to audio, and before I started talking to James, like I was doing this at uh, like 44.1, So it's not like the best fidelity. But then after I spoke to him and he told me that 192 would be better. Then I redid it. So this is I think still printed in the lower sample rate. Still looks pretty good. So basically, what I did there is I just dragged the in here. So I basically just took this and this is pretty simple, but I just slowed it down. Yeah, so I started really with that ramp up and then went to doing this, which is essentially just me playing with the multiplex. So if you see like the multiplex right here is just I'm playing with the X and Y sliders just to like make a chord progression out of it while the Snowflake is playing. So and then there's also a MIDI note that's going through it. So that note just stays the same there. So actually when I first did it, so the problem that I ran into was like when I first was working on it in headphones, I didn't have this scale thing, so it made the snowflakes all look perfect. Like this was how I had it in the preview. With the smaller snowflakes, but then what was happening when I was playing it back was that the lead sound was a little bit too low compared to the bass note, so then I had to actually just make this lead double. So when I was previewing it on Instagram, because when I played the video back, I was like, the lead kind of gets lost a little bit. So then I doubled the lead, and then also I put this scale on to make the size of the snowflakes bigger so that they take up more space, and they kind of overlap in like a cool pattern, and it just made the lead come out a little bit more. So that's like the difference between the Spotify and like streaming version versus that initial preview. But yeah, there's just some of these like limitations with oscilloscope music that I could have really just kept the lead doubled for all of it, and it would have like essentially ruined the image in a way if you were to run it back through an oscilloscope. But I just love how like watching Beam and a lot of these other people when they do their oscilloscope music, it's like actually like what you're seeing is what you're hearing, and it just like they just figure out how to make it work and to work around the limitations. So I didn't want to like necessarily just kind of fake it for just like sonic's sake. I wanted to actually make it like look and sound like in sync.
Yeah, and doing that is actually so hard. Like it's really easy to make it look good or sound good, but doing both is like pretty difficult. I was wondering with the lead when you're playing it back and it looks you're kind of getting that like rolling shutter effect kind of thing where it like sort of traces it out. Is that because you've got the lead and the like multiplex thing playing at the same time? It's like distorting.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's why it's like kind of phasing through like that multiplex thing. But yeah, that was kind of like unintentional. Like it looks cool, but that was just yeah, it was just like unintentional. Yeah, they're saying to put like you guys got to see the setup that we have going on over here. It's like I have this phone. This is my friend Ryan's phone that's connected to his laptop that's doing the the stream, and this is my laptop because the audio wasn't routing right through the UA, and then it's like all the other gear over there, and then the oscilloscopes right here, and then our keyboards is Ryan right here. Oh. um, but yeah, the setup was a little. We tried to get it so that the audio was coming through my laptop and so you would hear it in stereo, but it's a little bit glitchy with like all this stuff. Like really because we're running so many ins and outs. We have these three UAs, and then like this patch bay right here. So then like all of the audio is running through essentially like other parts, other ins and outs, like over here, going to this patch bay, and then into here, and then running out to the oscilloscope. So routing audio gets so complicated sometimes. So next time we do this, I'll make sure the audio is routed right. It'll probably take like a few hours to really set it up. Yeah, at some point I started like trying to like almost blend signals, so I'll have like two osci renders going at the same time. So like, this would be um just one of them. It looks like this. But then doubling the lead. So you can see how it kind of yeah, just like bends things in like weird ways. But I've been getting into more of that like more recently, just either processing the audio post osci render and like doing different things. Like there's a side chain on it that's making it pulse. Um just different things like with audio, like, even I found it interesting that even like everything kind of turns into a sine wave when it's like low, when there's low passed. Yeah, so it's so cool to see like how different audio effects were really, you're almost like visualizing how it's changing the audio. For my whole life, I've been EQing things or like, distorting things or putting big pressure on things, but then seeing how it actually looks and being like, wait, that actually makes sense. Like it's actually like folding itself back in on itself when you're distorting it, or when you're EQing something, you're just kind of like turning it more into sine waves. And it's really made me think about audio so differently, seeing like the visual representation of what these things look like.
Yeah, it makes you think like how they actually work rather than just turning like adding an effect and like not really thinking much about it. Like you really it really makes you think differently about music. It's really cool.
Right. And like music in like the plug-in sense, like when you're, coding a plug-in, or you have like a distortion thing, it's like, oh, like from a bit, coding level, it's like, okay, this is how this is working, but this is like an emulation of the real world of how like electricity is running through these things, and like how the volts are actually changing, and it's like so much to really think about. It's so crazy. So yeah, I don't know if you saw that. I know you saw it, James, because you reposted it. But yeah, I did a video yesterday where it's just sending each individual thing to like a different oscilloscope, and kind of like doing stems, like visual stems. Uh, so that was cool. And then I figured out, because with the drums, it kind of looks boring for the most part. Let me see if I can put a. So I was like, that looks kind of boring. But then I'm thinking about like now, just working with osci-render, I'm thinking about audio so different. I'm like, why does it look boring, right? Because the difference between the voltage on the left and right, or X and Y, are just so similar that it just looks like a straight line. So then I started putting a sample delay in the chain, sending out to it. So then So I'm just delaying one side by, uh, like 1,000 samples, like without it and with it. But then it's like, then I was like writing words on the screen. But then if I write the words on the screen with the sample delay, then all the words are like super fucked up. So it's like automating the on and off for the sample delay for each send at different times. This, I'll put a saucy after this. Look how the bass looks. This is from our sub fatty. Um, Is this keyboard up here, the silver one? Oh, can you see that? Yeah, it's from that one, which is the same. We use like when we have like a sound that we like, we just tend to use it often. So this is the same. That's the same synth from the Sheck West song Mobamba, um, and we use it on bass a lot. So I just think it looks crazy. Like it looks how it sounds because there's like a little bit of a I guess it's two oscillators at the same time, and they're not like exactly in sync, but they're close. So you can kind of see the the way that it's like morphing and like folding in on itself.
So I understand, Denzel, that you've worked in a variety of projects and works over the years. But I'm curious, you know, producers tend to have a thing or a few things that drive them directionally when they're working on music or even just playing around. An artist like Rez would throw like dungeon sounds into all of her songs. An Infected Mushroom never has fewer than 100 tracks.
Mm.
Uh, for me, I care a lot about establishing a melodic theme and then allowing it to evolve. So I'm curious, you know, what kind of things for you as a producer or even an artist are most important to you in music production, like personal style or techniques that you prefer, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, to me, I think, and this is just something from because that's a really good question. Like for me, something that I really go back to as like a core element of good production, which at its core is like good songwriting, is that it's like music is like a language, right? It's like another language that we use to communicate, and the more able you are to communicate the music that you're making to someone else, like melodically or rhythmically, the like easier it is for the brain to remember. So if I were to say like, well, what's the song that goes like this? Dun, 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 dun. I can immediately like communicate that to you, and you would say like, oh, that's Jingle Bells, right? So I was like, go back like, oh, is this thing that I'm making easily was it easy to communicate to another person just as like a human, not really thinking about like like the sound or the instrument or anything. But yeah, that's what I think makes the best music at its core, and then everything else around that. It's like the limitations that you have create the aesthetic. So if you're like trying to make something that's communicatable with osci-render, like you have the goal and then you have the limitation, and you just put that together, and that creates the aesthetic. Or if I'm working with like David and Shaq West, it's like, okay, like we need to make something that's communicatable, and the limitation is we're going to use like these synths, and it's like, all right, how do we do that with like a Prophet 12 and a Sub Fatty? You could be like, what's that song? Goes like na 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 na. It's like it. You'd be like, oh, that's Mo Bamba. So yeah, that's kind of like the core element.
I feel like oscilloscope music, it's kind of a black hole. It takes forever to make. Looking good and sounding good are usually opposite each other. And it doesn't have a very big audience. So since you actually, pay your bills with music, it's your career. I was wondering basically what are your future thoughts and plans for oscilloscope music? And also, like Chris already said, um, I want to give you a shout out for giving oscilloscope music some good press.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, honestly, because I've been in the music industry since I was like a kid. Like I signed my first publishing deal when I was in high school, like when I was a sophomore in high school. So I've been doing it for super long, and I didn't really start making money from it enough to like pay my bills until I was 23, right? So it took like like almost 10 years just to get from point A to point B. And even still then it like didn't turn into like a real career until like maybe 8 years ago or 9 years ago. So it's there's like a in that regard, there's like an apparatus that I'm kind of like, oh, I'm just taking this inspiration from this like incredible thing I found and like bringing it into like a new perspective into this fold of music production. But when I tell you, I feel like the oscilloscope music community is really onto something that I think is just so undiscovered and so special, that is like combines so many forms of art and science and math and like self-expression. It's like so deep. um i think I think it needs more of a spotlight in general. And I think hopefully us doing these things and on the day trip side, and maybe even bring some oscilloscope stuff to other artists when we work in the studio with artists and sessions, and then getting them excited about it, just brings like a whole new light to oscilloscope music. And like everyone in here that's into doing it, you guys are the pioneers of this, and it's like this small community of people really, I think, because sonically it's doing things that are not really being done in other ways, and the way that it connects with the visual just really, to me, like brings so much freedom to being an artist and expressing something where, most of the time, whether you're coming from a visual side or a audio side, people, people want to be entertained. The people want to be like, when they see something, they want to hear something. When they hear something, they want to see something. This is both things at the same time. That is really just like a full experience. And I think it's just so special. And I feel like there's going to be so much interest in this going on. So I'm just happy that you guys are here and doing this, and we'll get to, like, hopefully I get to learn from you guys on how to continue pushing it forward.
Thank you so much, Dens, for jumping on and obviously showing us like what you've been up to, what you're working on, and like answering everyone's questions. I think it's been really awesome to see you get involved and like have everyone jump in, especially like seeing like obviously they're all new to you, but having a lot of like the people that are really active in the Discord server be around and asking questions. It's been really cool. I think would be great to have you sort of collaborate with us again at some point, especially like as you're releasing more tracks and all the rest of it with Oscilloscope music. I'm sure all the people in here as well will like help if you've got like questions around how to do specific things. Like everyone in here is way smarter than I am with this, so yeah, there's a lot of people to learn from. Cool.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for having me in here, and it's great to talk to everyone. And thank you for making the most incredible piece of software, James. You're like the Professor X of the oscilloscope music community. Like, I don't know how you even began to put that together, but it's super impressive, and I'm glad you did it. And thank you for having me in this Discord. I'm definitely looking forward to just sharing more things back and forth. And if anyone, I'm joining this Discord. I should be in it already, and I'm like learning how to use Discord through this too. So bear with me. But if anyone has any like direct questions or just wants to like talk about whatever, you could just hit me on here or on my personal Instagram. Is just Denzel Baptiste. So it's tagged in some of like the day trip things, but I usually see all the messages on there too. But yeah, hell yeah, guys.